Good afternoon and welcome back to Becoming Whole with Thomas said. Today, I'm going to talk about a standard. Do you understand that you need a standard? Do you understand that if you don't have a standard in your life, people are going to abuse you and misuse you? When they talk to you, they're going to know whether or not you have a standard. Do you have confidence? Do you believe in you? Are you courageous enough to be by yourself? Do you have a standard of paying your bills on time? Do you have a standard of being a woman of your word or a man of your word? Do you walk in character and integrity? These are the standards that I possess. And these are the standards that God requires of us. Don't cheat on our taxes. Don't cheat on one another. Don't talk about one another. Don't lie on each other. Love each other. Pray for each other. Those are standards. And these are the things that God says that produces his blessings. Because at the end of the day, those are the things that brings peace. Those are the things that bring happiness, those standards. Yes, when you have a standard, it's going to bring on a lot of persecution because the majority of the world don't have standards. I'm talking about the God standards, the standards of love and kind and peace and gentleness, acceptance, wanting the best for others. Don't want to do anything but uplift others. Want others to be able to, I want to be a cheerleader for others. Whatever you get, I want you to even get more. Because at the end of the day, we got one life. And I want every human being, that is my standard. I want every human being on this earth to live the best lives that God has called them to live. And if I could do anything to help them to reach that height, that pinnacle for which God has called them to reach, God knows I would. And that's what this life is all about. We got to get out of the pain. We got to get out of the misery because that keeps us not having a standard. And it attracts the same kind of people that we are that don't have a standard. And then we mad and jealous and envy when we see somebody living a life opposite of what we're living. But guess what? We got to wake up. We got to repent. We got to get our hearts together. Because a standard, this world don't want anymore. We compromising everything. We going along with everything. And that's why things are getting worse and worse and worse in our minds, in our homes, in our jobs, in our schools, in our institutions. That's why things are getting worse, because there is no standards. Kids don't even respect the parents no more. The parents are afraid of the children. On and on and on. Nobody's really putting God first in their homes. It's the handful. Like he said, narrow is the way, and only few find it. Wide is the gate, because everybody is going along to get along. And if God says wide is the gate and only a few will find it, come on now, wide is the gate, wide is the gate, and everybody's basically going there, but narrow is the way and only a few people are finding it. Wake up, y'all. What is that saying? There's a lot of compromising going on. I need you to just think about that for a few minutes. Wide is the gate and narrow is the way and only a few that findeth it. Come on, many are called, but few are chosen. Why are many called and few are chosen? Because a lot of people don't want to accept the call because it's going to cost you something. But it's costing you something not accepting the call. At least with accepting the call, you walking in peace and freedom, love and acceptance from God, peace and happiness, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. But guess what? The opposite of that, pain, misery, and unhappiness. Come on now, discontentment. Come on now. So, we gonna have to wake up. We need a standard. You don't have no standard. You're gonna always attract the wrong things in your life. But when you got a standard, basically, to be honest, you're gonna get rid of a whole lot of things that don't supposed to be in your life. Because see, birds of a feather, they flock together. The opposite is not gonna match. And the opposite is not gonna be, if you don't have a standard, you're not gonna be around somebody that got a standard. It's called being unequally yoked. But I'm just saying, we gotta have a standard. You want the best in life, you gotta have a standard. And when I say the best in life, I'm talking about God's peace, God's wisdom, God's insight, God's knowledge, God's understanding. Oh my God. I'm just telling y'all, it ain't nothing like it. Do I pay a heavy price? Yes. But I wouldn't trade it for the world because he's allowing me to see people for who they are. He allowed me to separate myself and be content just being by myself. I'm just saying, because what would it profit you to be around a whole lot of people and everybody bound and everybody walking dead and everybody low self-esteem and everybody just talking about each other? We pretending in front of one another, but time we get away from one another, you're talking about people. That is a dumb, mundane life. That is a life of pure unhappiness. What in the world would I want to sit up here and talk about you for? Really? Really talk about you? No, have compassion for you. Pray for you. Want God to open your spiritual eyes so that you can see truth and get out of that bondage, that prison. Come on, if I'm going to be a prisoner, I'm going to be a prisoner and a slave for God and God alone. Because he wants the best for me. So at the end of the day, like I said, we got to get a standard. We don't have no standard. We miss out on life. We don't have long on this earth. Listen, it's time for us to stop compromising. It's time for us to stop not being who we need to be. It's time for us to stop betraying who we are. Because when you don't walk who you're supposed to be, when you don't deny the things that you need to deny, when you know you need to deny them, because I'm scared somebody ain't gonna like me, I'm scared that I'm gonna be ostracized. Come on now. Come on. You are too important for that. You got a standard. You need a standard. You got a standard. Walk in that standard that God has called you to walk in. Be that person that God has called you to be. Be willing to be alone. Be willing to be ostracized. It's all going to work out for your good. Because your life is going right according to God's plan. That's why I'm here talking to you today. It's no accident. It's time for you to get it together. It's time for you to stop betraying the person that you are. It's time to let go of all toxic relationships. I don't care what kind they are. It's time for you to step out. Stop the fear. Cast it down. Step out and be everything that God has called you to be. Step out there and say, I'm going to love me for me. I'm going to die loving me. Enough is enough. It's time out that I stop compromise. It's time out that I stop putting myself last. It's time for me to change. And whoever don't like it, they just don't like it. I'm not going to be a people pleaser. I'm going to be a God pleaser where I can't lose. I'm going to only win. All right, y'all. Once again, we must have a standard. It's time for us to stop betraying ourselves. It's time for us to stop going along to get along. Because let me tell you something. Our standard, it ain't got no prejudice. It ain't got no divisiveness. Our standard only have love. Our standard only go get directions from God. That's what a standard does. The world will mislead you. The world will deceive you. You better wake up. You better wake up. That graveyard got a lot of potential because people were busy being what everybody else wanted them to be instead of being who God had called them to be. Would that be you? All right, y'all. Have a blessed and wonderful day.